Hey guys, it's Carter, and today I just wanted to provide a quick Bitcoin update here. We're trading at 87,400, and Bitcoin has now broken this ascending support line that has held price action up for the last nearly 3 years. So we've broken it to the downside now, causing many to believe that Bitcoin has now fallen into a bear market, along with a few other things that we're going to discuss in this video. I actually don't share that opinion. I believe Bitcoin is off to new highs in Q1 and Q2 2026. I'm going to show you what it'll take for me and my opinion to change on that, and why I believe we're going to new highs, and why I think many analysts are making flawed bear market calls too early right now. So join me in this video. It should be quite interesting. Alright, so we have dropped this ascending trend line, and I don't believe it's too much of a concern because we're still in a very strong uptrend here. So Bitcoin has still been making higher highs and higher lows this whole cycle. So higher highs, higher lows, and that has not changed. We're holding a higher low right now. At the moment, we're holding a higher low, and I don't think that we are necessarily falling into a bear market just because we dropped this ascending support line. Support lines like this, trend lines, break all the time. The point being, we're still holding a higher low. It's way too early to call a bear market while we're holding a higher low, at least definitively. Reason number two people are calling for a Bitcoin bear market right now is the 4-year cycle. So the 4-year cycle, I'm not really going to get too much into it right now. I don't give it the most amount of merit, but for reference, the key concept of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is that Bitcoin has topped out in Q4 of 2013, 2017, 2021, and now 2025. So Bitcoin made its high in price here in Q4 2025, and many people just believe, just because of that pattern alone, that Bitcoin has topped here. But in reality, cycles need to be confirmed with price action. Looking at cycles alone without looking at price action over the cycle is a complete mistake. So it's a complete mistake to be using cycles alone to justify a bear market call. We need to pair cycles with price action. Price action is the king, cycles come second, and yeah, the price action, while holding a higher low in a strong uptrend, is not indicating that the cycle is over just yet. So we have to be cautious about calling a bear market just because of that cycle alone. Now, if we dropped 70,000 in a sustained way, let's say, then we can be more definitive about a top being in on Bitcoin. But right now, we're absolutely not doing that. We're still holding a higher low. And yeah, no, we cannot call a bear market right now. We'd have to drop $70,000, this key support level on Bitcoin, before we do that. So yeah, I'm actually not a huge believer in the 4-year Bitcoin cycle, and I actually don't give it the most amount of merit here, because in 2021, I don't actually believe Bitcoin topped in Q4 2021. Yeah, the highest price was in Q4 2021, but truthfully, the market topped. The market cycle top was in April, so it was in Q2 2021. So the Q4 2021 high was merely a B wave that developed after an A wave here in a larger ABC correction. So no, I don't give the 4-year cycle alone the most amount of merit, especially without a key macro support breakdown. This ascending trend line, calling it a key macro support is a mistake because we're still in the uptrend of higher highs, higher lows. And finally, this indicator here, the Gaussian channel, is another reason why people are calling for the end of the Bitcoin bull market, because we've fallen into it. We've fallen into it now for the second time this bull market. So we actually broke above it here, fell back in it, and we kept rallying. We kept rallying, but this is pretty atypical because yes, previous times Bitcoin has fallen into the Gaussian channel, we fell through it. So here, fell into it, fell through it. And if you go back in Bitcoin's entire history on the weekly chart, yeah, you fall into the Gaussian channel, you fall through it. But earlier in this cycle, we fell back into it after rallying above it, and then rallied significantly higher. But also, if you look at previous cycles, we've done something atypical in this cycle. So we've actually come close to this Gaussian channel numerous times. We've come close, and in other bull moves, we've rallied significantly higher and above it, and not even have come close to touching the Gaussian channel in previous bull moves. And that can be explained in this cycle. Why we haven't really been extended too much above it is because the asset is now older. So when an asset matures, when it gets older and it matures, it becomes less volatile and there's diminishing returns. So it's not like we can get as stretched above this channel as we used to be able to. It's just not going to happen anymore. So yeah, diminishing returns and the lack of volatility in Bitcoin nowadays is going to keep it closer to this channel, and it's going to be more susceptible to dipping its toe in the channel. So a break into the channel is not necessarily a sign that Bitcoin has topped. We cannot use indicators like this that lag price action to justify that the cycle has topped. So yes, I am actually of the belief here that Bitcoin in Q1, Q2 2026 will likely rally towards 150,000 and possibly even higher than that as well. And that's provided we hold $70,000 in the short term and don't see a sustained break below it. That would therefore likely mean Bitcoin has topped. But I don't think that's likely going to happen in the weeks and months to come. And finally, one more thing I want to show you on the weekly chart is the RSI. I just want to show you every time we've been around this level on the RSI. So we're at it today. Just keep that in mind. Here, we were in this level in 2022. If you bought Bitcoin here, you've done a pretty good job for yourself. You're probably not upset with the return you got. Now, we were at this level here, and yeah, 1200% rally. 1200% rally. Here, we were at this level on the RSI, 300% rally. So this level on the RSI, when Bitcoin gets down to this low, is generally a pretty good time to buy. Yes, it can be a sustained stay at this level on the RSI, but previous times on Bitcoin, you've held long enough, you've seen the returns, and you haven't even had to hold like that long. So yeah, we've rallied significantly higher when at these levels on the RSI in Bitcoin's history. To ignore the fact that we're nearing the oversold condition on the weekly chart on Bitcoin's RSI would be a mistake in my opinion. So Bitcoin's daily chart here, we're on the standard chart just to draw a regression channel for a second here. I just want to show you where we are in this uptrend. We are way overstretched to the downside in this uptrend. Now, before you say, oh my goodness, we haven't been this low in this uptrend. We've probably topped, Carter. I don't believe that's the case. I'm going to show you something else here. But yeah, previous times we've been low in this regression trend to the upside, significant rallies. Significant rallies have followed, and we're at the lowest in this cycle while holding a higher low on the macro scale. So keep that in mind. Now, before you use that regression channel and the fact that we're below it right now as a signal that we've topped, well, let's look at earlier in the cycle where we could draw the same regression channel with the data we had back then. Well, look at that. We fell below this regression channel right here. Bitcoin did not top right here. Instead, we rallied back into the regression channel, saw resistance at the top, pulled back, rallied significantly higher than this one here. So if we did that similar pattern to the one present day, what would happen? So I'm drawing this rough regression channel again. It's not perfect, but for the point being, if we rallied back into this today's day regression channel, pulled back, and then saw a rally above it, well, we would probably be rallying towards 150,000, possibly much higher levels by the middle of 2026. So look at that. We could see this rally if we repeat the pattern of what happened in the previous time in this cycle nearly 3 years ago when we fell below the bull market's regression channel to the upside. So keep that in mind as well. But I have to admit, although I'm bullish on Bitcoin in the next 6 months, provided we hold the 70K level as support and don't sustain a break below it, we don't look amazing present day. So let's switch to the logarithmic chart and talk about that. So now present day on Bitcoin's daily chart, I don't actually believe we formed a low here in November at the $80,000 mark. This rally to the upside looks corrective. This rally to the downside actually does look a little corrective as well. So we're leaving the door open right now to a potential push back towards the mid and upper 90,000s, but provided we're not getting above the mid to upper 90,000s in the short term, I do believe we are going to take out this low here at around 80,000 because this move does look corrective. So we're either probably likelier to break down directly or indirectly from the mid to upper 90,000s and form a new low. So it's not likely that Bitcoin has formed a bottom here at 80,000, but on a macro scale, we're very close. We look very close to a macro low on Bitcoin from all the things I've shown you on the weekly chart and the regression channel here on the daily chart. We look much closer to a macro low on Bitcoin than a macro top, in my opinion. And that's provided, once again, we hold that $70,000 support. I can't stress that enough. We cannot see a sustained break below that level for me to keep this bullish perspective alive. Final thing I want to share, though, is that Bitcoin was oversold on the RSI here in November, and we've seen a nice bounce. But let's look at previous times we were oversold on the daily charts RSI in this cycle. Well, right here we saw that condition met, and it wasn't the low. We went a little lower, and we actually bottomed here on RSI divergence. So we saw a higher low on the RSI while we saw a lower low in price, marking the bottom and then seeing a rally. And we've done that previous times as well. Because although we saw the oversold condition right here on the RSI, we were here in price, we did make a lower low and bottomed out on RSI divergence. Same thing previously. Right here, low in price, low on the RSI, higher low on the RSI, lower low in price, that's where we bottomed out and rallied. So given all that, if we do the same thing we've done the 3 previous times after seeing the oversold condition on the Bitcoin daily chart RSI in this cycle, we will come down and make another low in price while holding a higher low on the RSI, which will then more likely mark a bottom before we rally higher. So in conclusion on Bitcoin, I am neutral to slightly bearish in the short term, provided we cannot get above 100,000. I am neutral to slightly bearish in the short term. However, in the next 6 months overall, I believe Bitcoin can rally to the upside and possibly even to much higher levels towards 150,000 and maybe even higher, provided we hold the $70,000 support. That's all I have in this video. Let's see what plays out.